Good afternoon. We're going to talk a little bit about taking a second gen Ford Explorer frame and mount it, put it underneath a 1953 or, in other people's case, a different fat fender Ford. Mainly your 53 to 56, but I know it can also be used in your earlier 54 to or 48 to 52 Ford truck bodies as well, with a couple little minor modifications. In this case, I have a 53 F100. This is a 96 Ford Explorer. This one happens to be a two-wheel drive V6 model. I didn't need all the extra fancy stuff. I didn't want the four-wheel drive. Had no need for it for the truck. And I'm going to graft this underneath my 53 Ford. What I'm going to talk about today is just a little bit of the details on the frame and how to remove the body from this, from a second gen, that's what this one is, Ford Explorer, and where your points are in the body, in the cabin area, so you can find them easily and know what you need to do to get them out. Your second gen Explorers and your first gen Explorers all have the same number. There are 10 total mounting points for the body. You have two studs up front right here that has a 18 millimeter nut on it that you need to take off, and then right here is a pair of the body bolts that are also 18 millimeter, about 3 inches long, that mount the body of the Explorer to the frame. Right there and right there. Now in my case, some people choose to use the computer and the engines and everything else. I am not. So I'm doing away with my smog stuff. All the electrical components except for my fuel pump and my wiring for the fuel pump, I'm going to keep the stock setup, because I'm going to have an aftermarket fuel injection system on mine when I build it, and everything else. So a couple other little details on the frame is that the 96 Explorer, which is what this one is, the V6 engine and the 5.0 engine had the same motor mount setup, so there was no changes. So I don't have to do any changes right here for mine. I can just get a new motor mounts, stick it in, because I'm using a small block Windsor 351, and I'm going to bolt it to an AOD transmission. So hopefully I should not have to do any modifications to the rear cross member. If I do, I'll talk about that at a later time. Right there's the cross member that I forgot to clean the inside of, and we'll kind of go from there. The reason for this, there's several reasons for using an Explorer frame on doing on a fat fender Ford. I know there are avenues out there where somebody can take a S10 chassis and put it underneath a fat fender Ford with a few modifications and bolt on or weld on kits. I'm one of those that like to do, if it's a Ford, use Ford. If it's a Chevy, use Chevy. If it's Dodge, use Dodge. If it's some other weird thing, Hudson, Studebaker or something like that, use whatever the hell you want. It's no big deal. This is just what I choose to do, and it makes it easier for myself. The reason for using the Explorer chassis also is because it allows me to have disc brakes front and rear. It allows me to go to the parts store and buy parts for my frame and not have to worry that I have to go on the internet and buy aftermarket pieces and parts and specialty things and everything else. And you know, I'm going to drive this. It's not going to sit around. It's not a, I mean, it'll probably look pretty, but it's not going to be a, you know, a showstopper. It's not going to be a SEMA thing. It's just going to be my truck. So with that being said, you know, this particular truck has a M4 code in the VIN number, which means that that rear end is a posi rear end, and it also has 373 gears. And yeah, I'll be able to enjoy it. Some of the things I'm going to do in this series of videos I'm going to do are I'm going to show you where to mark and cut the frame horns if you so choose to want to delete those on your truck. I am designing a new set of body mounts for the cab to put the Fat Fender Ford cabs on. So as soon as I have those, you know, at some other point, I'll fill you in later and see how that goes. There's also going to be a cross member that I'm going to design to put in here that I can put the core support in and not have to worry about that. So some of the things that you're going to have to do besides the body studs and the body bolts is you're going to have to disconnect the brake system. Now these are the brake lines. I cut them. I didn't need the ABS system that this had from back then. I didn't want it because I don't want any computers other than what I'm going to have for the aftermarket injection system. That's it. So I'm going to delete those. They're going to go away, and I'll put in a conventional system with a proportioning valve. The other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to disconnect your steering column. Now this is this attaches to the steering column, and this right here is a 14 millimeter bolt. You take that out, pull it out of the thing, and this slides right off of the steering shaft, off the column. Then you should be good there. The other thing you need to do is right here, which I screwed up on, I cut it, is my emergency brake cable. Now I can go to the wrecking yard and get a new piece, which I will, and then I'll make sure that I have all the rest of it that goes up into the cabin area where the emergency brake pedal is. I'll take all the components off of there so that way I can take and graft that into the original stock emergency brake handle that's in the truck, so that way everything is, it looks original but is functional. So there's that. Also, you need to take and disconnect, there's 3 screws that are 5.5 millimeter that you'll need to unscrew from the gas cap, the gas door basin area, and I will show you that here in a short bit. But other than that, this is pretty much in a nutshell what I'm using and what I'm going to be doing. There will be more videos to follow later. So with that being said, I'll walk over to the body and I'll show you the location of all of the body mount bolts over here. So this is the 96 donor. Please don't pay attention to the mess inside. I bought it that way as a junker for specifically the frame. So right here, next to where the radiator piece is, right there, that is where the first of the body studs comes through, where you'll need your 18 millimeter socket for that, deep well, on the passenger side of your engine compartment. And on the passenger or the driver's side, here is your battery tray, and right down in there, if you can see it, right down there is where the other body stud bolt, body stud comes through at. So you get that, and 18 millimeter bolt, take it right out and you're good. Here is the right here is the steering shaft. It's a double D. I need to cut it because I need to, just in case I need to have it on hand if I need it for anything later. But I'll take that off here in a little while. This is your ABS system, that if you're keeping your brakes, you need to keep this. Don't cut the lines like I did. And then you'll probably want to keep this and your brake master cylinder and your booster. And if you're keeping the engine and everything else, well, then you're going to need a whole hell of a lot more than what I'm showing here. So on to the next piece, which is inside the truck. So right down here, to do this, you're going to want to take the kick plate off, and probably the little threshold plate, like I did, and you're going to come across, there's going to be a rubber grommet there. I'll show you that here in just a second, that you're going to need to pull off. Use a flat blade screwdriver. It's no big deal. They should pop right out fairly easily. But take the rubber grommet out and you can access that hole. Okay, so I'm going to show you the grommet now. So here's the grommet. Pretty simple. You can use a flat blade screwdriver. Pops right out. No big deal. Take it out of there and take it and access your bolt. You have one on the driver's side right by your brake pedal. You also have one on your passenger side right next to the kick panel underneath your glove box door right there. There's one there. You also come over here. Forgive the mess in here. This thing is a junk car. So anyway, there's another one right underneath the rear left corner of the driver's seat. There's also one under the rear right corner of the passenger seat. You'll pull up the grommet that's in there and use your 18 millimeter. You'll take the bolt out and everything will be good. You fold the back seat down. You lift up the floorboard cover piece. There's another grommet there, and there is a bolt in there that you'll need to take out. There's one on the other side right over there as well. Like I said, forgive the mess. That'll be number 5 and number 6. And you'll come back over here to the back. You'll lift the hatch up, and right here underneath this nasty old carpet is another body bolt that goes through there. There's no rubber grommet. Just take it out and you'll be fine. There's one there. Then there's one right underneath here. I got a bunch of junk in the way, so but you can see in there, pull the bolts out, everything's fine. Okay, when everything's all said and done, oh, and the other thing too I forgot to add earlier, here's the gas door, and here's your here's where your fill neck mounts into. I also took this piece out. I didn't know if I was going to want to use it or not, but this is where the fill neck bolts to, and it has 3 little screws that are 5.5 millimeter that come out. Once you take those out, everything's good to go. So that's everything to do with dismantling the 96 Gen 2 Explorer body from its frame. If you have any questions or you want to make any comments, please feel free to subscribe. I will be doing other videos throughout the process of this build. Hopefully I'll be able to cover all the bases that anybody might have questions about. I'm going to try to make it a little bit more in depth and a little bit more visual for those that are wanting to try to do something this in depth for the first time. But like I said, I'm working on a couple of little design features that I hopefully might be able to offer to people that are doing something similar to this later on, and that'll be you know, offering the body mount kits and either a weld-on or a bolt-on application later on in these videos. But I will keep you up on the status of that as I get to it. So anyway, thanks. Like and subscribe. And I work a regular job, so if anybody has any questions, I will answer them as fast and as best as I can. But since I work a normal regular job like everybody else, I might not get to it quite fast enough. So just bear with me, and I apologize in advance. Thank you. Bye.